Welcome to the show, Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast, episode 10.
Yes.
So for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing something special. We're not just bringing Miss Bella Lucille back to the studio. We got a special guest sitting in between us.
Who could it be?
We have a living legend, ladies and gentlemen. Not just a legend, a living legend.
I don't know if I can live up to that.
Well, you can, but I'm trying to build you up so
You're
get our
not
listeners more
disagreeing
interested.
either.
But
All right, go ahead.
yeah, I'm
Continue. Go ahead.
doing this for drama. We have an innovator, a founder, an influencer in the truest sense of the word. We have a brewery ambassador. We have a creative director. Ladies and gentlemen,
Keep going.
Nah, that was already a stretch.
That
was already a stretch. That was already a stretch getting that there. I was running low on it. Bella was looking at me like, no, enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Diego Ross.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You know, we've been talking about, you were supposed to be on our launch episode, but, we found out Joy was pregnant with Bella. We were blessed with our second edition, and Joy said there's no way in the world we're doing a show with Diego with me not being able to drink. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's not an iced coffee in her hand.
Yes, it is.
That's a pretty significant amount of Rowan's Creek with some iced coffee in her
Cheers.
hand.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ching.
Oh, mine is over here.
Don't mind if I do.
Now that Bella's obviously here with us at 4 months old, we got Diego here. Diego, you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
No, I don't want to tell them.
That's probably better for everybody. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get straight to it. Those of you that know and those of you that don't know, you think about the streetwear, fashion wear scene here in Chicago. This man right here literally built it, took it out of Chicago, helped build the Reebok brand that we all love from the 90s into the 2000s. Finish Line, when it was really popping, we were all there. Diego was the man behind all of that stuff there. Leaders, Tony Sports, the list goes on. We also love and know Diego from his brewery exploits and what he's done there in that sense of the word. So with all that, we're not going to spend any time talking about that on the show today. We're actually going to talk about parenthood and the stages of parenthood that you go through. I think Joy and I being parents, for the first and second time all within the last 4 years, we're still like growing with we still have babies. So Diego, with you, obviously you have 4 kids.
Yes, sir.
4 biological kids, but definitely many that you have taken under your wing. Plenty of people that call you Unc. But we really want to dive into it and really talk about, the stages of parenthood, fatherhood, motherhood, and the things that we see with children, from, what Joy and I were talking about it. You have kids, you have babies, then they grow into kids, then they grow into teens, and then you have adults, and then you really have adults that are kind of on their own. So there's really, when we think about it, you think about the job you have to do as a parent, but then the job you have to do to maintain your relationship, as a couple, with the children's mother or with the father and vice versa. So just want to hop into it and, can you tell us what you felt when you find out you were having your first child, I should say?
Sure. One, I was, as most guys, I was unprepared. So my eldest child, who just turned 33, Scottie Pippen year, just turned 33 on January 2nd, I was in the military, right? And
what branch?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
Hoorah. Stationed in Camp Lejeune, and because I was a low-ranking member in my unit, me and another guy, we pulled guard duty on New Year's Eve. So the senior guys got to go out and party, enjoy New Year's Eve, whatever. I was doing what's called a 12 to 12.
Yeah.
Where you walk the base or you walk your area for 12 hours. No sleep, right?
Oh, wow.
New Year's Day, when we got off at noon, it was our party day, right? So us, amongst a lot of other guys that were on guard duty, even though I was 19, I wasn't of legal age, but if you're a Marine on base back then in 19, you could drink on base. You just couldn't go off base. You could drink on base. We went to what's called the NCO club and got pretty plastered.
Did you get plastered before you found out or after you found out?
Found out
That you were having the son.
No. I was drinking. Like, so I didn't. Obviously, I knew the due date. The due date actually was a week later.
Oh.
So I was just on some. Hey, we just got off. We didn't get to enjoy New Year's Eve. This is our New Year's whatever.
Yeah.
And then you got to remember, this is 1986.
Okay.
No cell phones. No pagers.
Yeah.
No whatever. So they had to call the barracks to tell me that she was going into labor and then had to come find me.
Oh, wow.
Had to come find me at the club. So I went to the hospital pretty much 20 beers in. I don't know how many, drinks in. I wasn't drinking good liquor like I do now. It's just whatever I can get my hands on. And my son was born at 5:58 a.m. A big fella, too. 10 pounds, 8 ounces.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
Were you able to get there from the base to the hospital?
He was born on base.
Oh, okay.
He was born at Camp Lejeune Hospital. He was born on base.
Gotcha.
So the thing about it, a lot of people don't know, is that when you're in the Corps, you say, your girlfriend or wife, which is my girlfriend, is having a baby, they take you. They pick you up wherever you're at. The MPs take you. Get out of the way, traffic, they take you, wherever. But, I'm shit-faced. You know what I'm saying? But I still obviously remember everything. It was a great experience. He's my firstborn, but I was not prepared. I definitely was not prepared. Even at 19 and being in the military and having steady paycheck and all that, I still was, I wasn't a mature 19. I graduated high school when I was 17, so I went into the military really, really young. I'm the oldest. I don't have any older brothers. So a lot of things I learned on my own. So just, a year and 18 months later after joining the military, I have a kid. I was in the stereotypical military phase, right? It's like, oh, she's pregnant. I'm having a baby. Hey, Dad, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
He was like, dude.
Don't do it.
What are you doing? He was like, relax. Like, you are not prepared to get married. I'm like, you're right, but, it's the right thing to do. And, you know what I'm saying? It's the 80s. It's 86. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, unlike a lot of kids, I actually listened to my dad, and I didn't get married. It's one of the best decisions, I ever made.
Why is that?
In my life. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, and she wasn't the right person for me to be married to. I think, you guys know as a married couple, like, it's not always about who it is sometimes, or the circumstances, or how they look, or how they dress, or the walk, right? It's, do they really love you? Do they really tomorrow, if you lose everything, is she gonna be there?
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
That wasn't a real question. You're not supposed to answer that.
Just kidding. I was just kidding.
Yeah.
But this person, I didn't know it at the time. But as time went on, I saw that it wasn't, right? I don't know if this is because, me, I like to talk. So the one thing about me is that no matter, because I've had all my kids out of wedlock.
Okay.
Not all, I have 4. But I'm married now. My wife and I don't have children, but her 2 sons are my sons, and I treat them as such, right?
Okay.
They're grown, though, so 25 and 23, 26 and 23. So as a dad, This is my personal. No one wrote this for me. This is my personal. You have to forge a relationship with your children separate from the mother's relationship.
You want to expand on that?
Yeah. So what you need to do, so you will never have the bond with the children that the mother has.
You mean as
a
man?
dad, as a father, right? Except with your daughter. Chase will never, you can do whatever you want to do. Chase will never love you the way he loves his mother. Not to say he doesn't love you, but the son mom thing and the dad daughter thing is real. I have 2 and 2. I can tell you, I have 2 and 2. So I could tell you, like, for real, I know for a fact I'm 52. When I get 70, whatever, and I get sick and I'm shitting on myself and all that.
Which is not that far away.
Them boys not going to give a shit about me. Them daughters, though, bro, they not letting me go to no home. They not doing none of that. Brittany and Cheyenne, they not letting none of that happen. So, they're going to take me in, baby wipe me up, do whatever they got to do. They are not going to let me go to a home. And that's not saying that my sons don't love me, because I know they do. But it's a different relationship.
You know, it's funny, 21 Savage, I think he was on the Breakfast Club not too long ago. He was talking about, you know, the difference between love and loyalty. He was like, basically what he said, he would rather have a girl that's loyal to him than that loves him. Because he was like, you can be around somebody and love them, but if they're loyal, that means they committed to the relationship, they're committed to you. And I thought that was kind of deep when you say it that way, because if you're around somebody for 4 years, when you were away to college or whatever, you like love those people, and then after college is over, you might not see half of them ever again. It's not that you don't got love for them and don't like it, but it's just not what it is anymore. Yeah. So completely get that, and it goes to, you know, daddy's little girl and mama's boy. It's just that whole thing, you know, just as, you know, hitting 36 myself, I feel that my dad and I were in competition our entire lives. And I think just now, I'm not going to say that he's saying, you know what, you won some, but I think he's kind of done with the competition. I think he realizes the victory is seeing me being a good father, finishing college and doing that other stuff. But for my whole life, when I look back at it, we were in competition. Because his barometer was what he was doing. And I think...
Yeah, my dad and I have a great relationship now. And I don't want to say like it just happened. So let's say, you know, 25 or 30 and on. Yeah. Right? I think part of it is, you know, him and my mom's breakup wasn't sexy. Yeah. You know, he was not allowed to see me at a young age. Right? And so my mom did what most mothers do. She moved on. But I'm not going to say I never liked the guys that were in her life. Like, you know, there's a stepfather that was involved, and they were good guys. That is what my daddy. Yeah. So I looked at it as you like, yeah, you know, you're all right, but you're not me. You know, your last name is not Ross. So I went to go live with my dad in high school, which, you know, was an okay deal. But it wasn't until, you know, like I said, my 20s when my dad really, he and I forged a relationship. And I think he looked at me and was like, you know, this dude is kind of all right. You know, and I don't know what the aha moment for him was, because I have his personality, but I also have my mom's personality too.
So if you don't mind, can I hop in here? So just, you know, just thinking about it, you know, you started off, you said you found out you're having your first son, your first kid, you know, have to be your first son, said you weren't ready. So can you talk about life a little bit, being a first-time parent, and to, you know, being How far apart are your first two kids?
86 and 89. So Brittany and Dante are 3 years apart. And then Diego and Cheyenne are 4 years apart. So Cheyenne, Diego's 94, Cheyenne's 98.
So can you talk a little bit about life having babies, right? Because they consume so much of your time in life. There's a natural transition that goes from being single without kids to having kids. And that's the biggest adjustment I think you'll ever make in life. Like the adjustment from being single to dating, from dating to getting engaged and married to living together. That's like, to me, that was a 5 on the life scale. Having Chance, that was a 32 out of 10.
And then having 2 kids.
And then having Bella, that just
Yeah.
took it to a 34. So can you talk a little bit about life? Because I think what we want our listeners to get away, to walk away with is understanding, just how, as a parent, your mindset, your perspective, and your approach evolves, from being, from basically birth to 5, and then 5 to teenage years.
Well, it's different for all 4. My first kid, I was one of the worst fathers in the world. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was doing. Me and the mom, didn't get along at all. My son, actually, my oldest son, while I was trying to get my shit together and she was trying to get her shit together, my son actually lived with my dad and my stepmom. I was 19, 20 at the time. But I was much more prepared when Brittany was born in 89 because I was out of the service. I kind of figured out, the sneaker thing that we know now. Like, I didn't know it was going to be what it is now, but I found my groove at work. So, it's like that's part of it too as a parent. Like, you're like, okay, if you don't have money coming in and you're not working and you can't eat and you can't feed your kid, like all that shit. But then, when Brittany was born, like, it wasn't perfect, but I had all that. I had the apartment. I had, the decent job. I had benefits. I had, all this type of stuff. And so I became, as I've gotten older, I became a better father. There's no blueprint, okay? My dad didn't sit me down one day and was like, when you have kids, this is what you need to do. My mom, no one taught me. I just kind of learned on the fly because everything's geared towards the mother.
Yeah.
Nothing's geared towards the baby daddy, if you will. At all, right? Nothing's geared towards the dad. So I had to I didn't have, and it's not, and my dad is definitely not a bad dad. My dad is a good dad. Him and my mom just didn't make it, but him and my stepmom made it. And I have beautiful sisters and that whole deal, right? But when him and my mom were together, I just think they were in college. He was playing basketball at Kansas. He was the #1 player in America. He had a big head. He was cocky. He was cheating. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But as he got older, like we all do, if you're smart, he learned from his past mistakes and became a better parent. And then we had a better relationship because I'm the oldest. And that made, and then even me, I think me and my dad's relationship being better, I think helped me because I know that there's times that I called him, I was like, I'm a kill dude.
So if I
Can I say
absolutely.
I had a slight question when you were saying one comment. I would say when you say nothing's geared to the dad, I feel that things are geared to the dad and fatherhood, but it's more like of a negative connotation, like it just in our overall culture. Like the mom is gonna get like more positive. Oh, she works so hard and you know, she's up all night, and it's like the dad, if you look at commercials, it's kind of like the dad is like the goofball. He can't handle the kids. The house is a mess because of him. And when you think about it, so in my opinion, I think the negativity is geared to the dad. He's like never home. He's always at work. You don't see like positive.
And for me, I'm the total. I've been in the delivery room for all 4 of the births of my children. I'm the first face they saw. All 4 of them.
Yeah, you just
I'm the first face.
Hear that as you just don't see that as much.
I'm the first face that they saw. And I know we're skipping around, so I'll give you a prime example. So my youngest, Cheyenne, she's 20. Cheyenne was a preemie, okay? Cheyenne was 4 pounds, a little under. She was like 3'9" when she was born, right? And this is in the Tony Sports heyday, 98, like everything, whatever. The first 4 months of Cheyenne's life, she didn't know no one's smell but mine. She was so fragile, her mom was afraid to hold her. And my belly wasn't as big then as it is now, but I used to just hold her in a certain way that even now at 20, okay, and my wife trips out at 20 when she comes home from school. She's a junior in college. She comes home from school. When she hugs me, she smells my neck. She don't even know she's doing it, though. It's just because the smell, my smell to her, like brings her, you know what I'm saying? Like it does something, you know what I'm saying, to her, because I think she remembers. She doesn't necessarily remember because she was a baby, but like that smell, like kind of takes her back.
So when you, and I don't know, because I know, you know, my dad always talks about how what doctors recommend and you know, your birthing classes are different. Did they encourage you to do skin on skin when your children were born? You know, from '86 onward.
I never went to a class.
But even then, did they encourage you guys to do the skin to skin, or was it ever?
I never went to a birthing class. I never went to a Lamaze class. I never went to none of that. My mama, who I listen to, was like, it's a waste of time. My mom told me, she was like, your instincts will kick in.
It's true.
She's like, your instincts were kicking, like all that, like the breathing. She's like, all that shit goes out the window when that pain comes.
Yeah, I mean,
you just gotta be there
until you're punching.
You just gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be there to comfort them, whether it's ice chips or the towel or whatever you have to do. You just have to be there to comfort them, and then everything else will kick in.
And I'm talking about even after, once the babies are there, because we take our classes. We took the classes for Chance. We took classes, and I think there's like 4 or 6 sessions, and it's just like, I mean, one class is basically telling you know, breastfeed if you can. It's better for the baby. My dad said in the '80s they pushed formula on people. That formula is better than breast milk. So that was one class. They didn't necessarily teach you how to do it, but it was just trying to reinforce that. They talked about skin-to-skin contact. The way the baby's going to get close to you right away is that skin-to-skin contact. So we had Bella Northwestern, and she was born via C-section. I was the first person that she saw, just because
Chance too,
Chance too, because Joy had C-sections for both, and that's major abdominal surgery. So all they could do is lift the baby up. You know, for Chance, I got to cut the cord. Was supposed to, but I got to cut the cord. Bella, they didn't let me do it, but first person they saw, and they didn't give her a bath for almost 18 hours. So for most of that time, you know, after we got out of the labor room, they're encouraging skin to skin. I'm walking around Northwestern Hospital.
After birth on your chest?
With after birth on my chest, no shirt on, stomach hanging out, don't care.
Yeah, I don't. But you got to think like
any of that.
My kids were. You got to think like my youngest Cant was born 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I'm asking.
That could be something new. I don't remember any of that being like a thing. I do remember, obviously, like all the procedures and going to see the baby and, you know, what you could and couldn't do, because you think about now, like, I think outside of having a C-section, but just natural birth, I think the moms come home in like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Even
saying?
with a C-section, you're within 6 or 7. Yeah.
You know, I think everybody, with the exception of Cheyenne, because Cheyenne had to stay, I think everybody was in the hospital a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
You know, because I remember going, ooh, I can go out.
Yeah.
Nobody at home, you know, I can go out.
Man, you might as well. It's about to get rough when that baby come home.
Yeah. What's crazy, what's even crazier is just the amount of just kind of core principles that they give you guys, they give us as new parents. And it's stuff that my dad said, I'm his only son. I was born in 82. So it's funny just the amount of stuff that we were like more or less given by the hospital before the baby comes home, that he's like, nah, we just kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
Or they told us to do X, Y, and Z during the checkups or whatever. Now, and this is in no way like saying like, oh, our parents are messing up. It's just the amount of information that's at our fingertips.
Yeah.
It's just normal.
different.
That's why.
I mean, it's different. I mean, you know, we're living in this information age, and I think it's informational overload, right? Because if you look at the kids that, you know, are my older kids' age, they're a little, to me, my personal opinion, they're a little bit better off than these younger kids, because the younger kids don't have all this noise coming at them. It's like, I have kids born through all the cycles, right? Like, when Dante was born, wasn't no cell phones, wasn't no beepers, wasn't none of that. Everybody had a home phone.
Yeah,
Okay?
landline.
Right? We didn't call it a landline. It's called a home phone. Right? Home phone.
That's all.
Yeah.
Every line was a landline.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It was a home phone, right? So then Brittany's born in 89, and it's the beginning of the beeper thing. Diego was born in 94. Now we got the cell phones. Cheyenne's born in 98. Now technology is really going, and I look at things like notes, because I have all my kids, everything, right? And I look at notes like, you know, Brittany, because different kids have your different personalities. So Brittany definitely has a lot of my personality, her and Cheyenne. And Brittany used to get in trouble for talking in class. Cheyenne was getting in trouble for having her phone in class. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the different the different times, you know, because when Brittany was in high school, they were still doing the passing notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne got to high school, it was texting, you know, what y'all doing at the school is so-and-so, you know, it's like, so she would get in trouble for having her phone in class. So it's like, I've been able to see like the differences. It's kind of off topic, the differences in teachers. When Dante and Brittany are in school, like, teachers were older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheyenne was in high school, the teachers would be like 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
who they teaching?
Because all them teachers retired, and then now nobody.
Well, I don't think, and I know you're an educator. I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's just the teachers retired. I just don't think that the world has made it where the salary of a teacher is at a place where people want to become teachers.
Yeah, and want to stay.
And want to stay.
It's a great entry level salary, but all your friends are going to pass you up within
like
4 years.
If you pay teachers $125,000, like, it's crazy to me. I'm not even going to compare them to the athletes. It's crazy to me that a manager of Walgreens makes more than a teacher. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
When we all know, right, what it means to your child and the upbringing and the development of your child to have that teacher and that good teacher take them to a place where they need to be mentally, physically, emotionally.
Because in the school year, you're with somebody's child sometimes more than the parent. If you think, I mean, you with them 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, almost, you know?
I also think, too, I mean, not to get too far off our show topic, if teachers were paid more, I think a lot of people that are teachers wouldn't make it, because you got people who become lawyers and have pursued other professions that if you took that person with that same skill set and scholastic aptitude and they decided to become a teacher, like people who became teachers wouldn't be able to like hold a candle to them. I think like people think that some people. I'm not saying obviously, but like if any field all of a sudden pays more money, it's going to become that more competitive. Like people want to become doctors, obviously, because it's a highly specialized field, but it pays really well. If being a doctor paid less, people wouldn't be going through all the trouble to go to medical school, do all that. If being a teacher paid more, people would go through the rigmarole. People would go through that, and I think you would find a different crop of people being teachers than you have there right now.
Well, you have those people, that different crop of people being teachers. They're in the suburbs, because in some of the suburbs, teachers are making six figures. It's just not a like constant rate for the city.
Correct. And I'm saying, like, imagine if CPS, if the average salary was six figures. Diego, you and I would be teachers if they were paying $120, $150 a year. Or I know I would be trying to teach.
I'm not gonna be a teacher. I can't deal with these kids, the kids that way. I don't think that I could be in a classroom. I do think I could be a guidance counselor.
Exactly.
Like I don't think I could stand in front of I mean, I probably could. I don't think I would want to though.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like stand in front of a classroom, put stuff on the chalkboard, do the lesson plan, correct papers. Like it's a lot.
Call
I commend those that do it, because it's a job that is so important to the fabric of the world, but it seems like it's so low on the totem pole of what people congratulate. No, what people congratulate. Not what aspire to be. What people congratulate. Like people congratulate the fireman and the policeman. Like people congratulate
paramedics,
the rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the athlete. Like, but if you look at being an educator, it's like to Joy's point. It's like, you know, especially there's the school day, and if you have a child that's in any type of activities, right? That kid leaves home at 7:30 in the morning. They might not get home to 7.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or later.
And they got to do homework. You know, it's like, you know.
But I would like ask you, just to like tie back in the parenting and the education. It's just like as a teacher now, because I would be intrigued, like how did your like parenting style change like to Cheyenne? Because like in Cheyenne's generation, for instance, like as a teacher, I get parents who no matter what the kid did, like how you said she got in trouble for a cell phone, the parent will be coming at me like, well, why'd you let her in the classroom with the cell phone? How's she getting in? It's you don't have to respect this adult, etc. Like,
well, I think that, well, I can't speak to those parents, but, you know, as my wife would say, I have the daddy voice. So I'm never going to take, unless it's a verbal altercation or an abusive situation, which I've never had to deal with abuse with my kids, but unless it's a verbal altercation, I'm never taking my kid's side. Like, I'm going to hear it out. Yeah. I'm not saying, like, if I think something's wrong, I'm going to defend my kid. Yeah. But if someone calls me and says, my kid's talking to class, they're probably talking to class.
Yeah, no teacher wants to take the time to call you.
At 6:30 at night.
Yeah, out of their own family time.
Well, not only that, and this is another big thing about parenting, and I think this is what some parents kind of fuck up. You got to know your kids. If somebody called me and was like, Diego was running up and down the hallway at school, I'm like, no way. That's not, because he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
But you got to know your kids' personalities. Like, Brittany talking to class, check. Cheyenne dancing in the hallway, check. Diego threatening somebody, no sir.
Gotcha.
You know, you gotta know you have to know your kid's personality. I think that's what, parents don't do. Like, it's okay to defend your kid, but take a step back, listen to what the educator, the teacher, the principal, what they're saying, and go, my kid is probably capable of this. Unless it's just something way out of the ordinary and they were, coerced by their peers. I think that's the base. Like, know what your kids are capable of and what their personality is. And that goes back, to having those relationships, right? There's nothing, as an OG, as an older parent, for you guys that have young children, the one thing I would always tell you is keep the relationship solid with your kids as they progress through life at no matter what age. But you got to have two conversations. You have to have the conversation as mommy and daddy, and then you got to have separate conversations, right? Because you have to have those two relationships, because at some point, somebody got to be the bad guy. Somebody got to be the bad guy. And unfortunately, and I'm looking at you, Joy, when it comes to Chance, when it comes to Chance, you ain't going to be the bad guy. You're not going to be, because your relationship, as he gets older, you don't see it now. Like, now, Daddy, basketball, I love you. As he gets older, and this is what boys do, he's going to be more attached to you. So unfortunately, when it comes to your son, he's going to have to be the bad guy. But then when it comes to the daughter, when she hits 10, it's over for you.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Dunzo.
It's over. The mama-daughter shit is gone. Like, you can forget it. Like, it's gone. And it's going to be all about, well, that ain't what Daddy said.
So can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
So want to take just a second, so as a kid is born, a kid is young. If I'm hearing you right, you're saying just having means is always a challenge initially, like money, finances, and resources to being the parent you want to be, like just off the rip or whatever. Obviously, you got a 12-year gap in between your oldest and your youngest. Did I do that math right? Yeah, 12-year gap. So obviously, you've evolved in your career and you got the sneaker game unlocked by 98 and figured that out. So there's that aspect of it. And then obviously trial and error because of
I wouldn't say unlocked.
Not unlocked.
But I knew what I was doing.
You knew what you were doing.
At that point, I knew I was like, I'm not doing nothing else the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you're more confident, more secure because you don't. Children don't come with a guidebook. The thing that gave me the most confidence, as a first time dad leaving the hospital, is the fact that it sounds dumb, but that these nurses are letting me leave with my child. In my head, because they deliver so many babies, they know what you're supposed to do and not do. They see you holding the baby and it's wrong, they're going to come in and correct you, not in a malicious way, but they're going to come in and correct you. Yeah. They do that stuff, and they're like, all right, it's time for you to check out, and they'll come in, make sure your car seat is right. If you ask them, not all of them
sure.
will. Some, at Mercy, they helped us with Chance, Northwestern.
The candy stripers.
Correct. They, you get we had the full nurses.
Candy stripers.
That was the best.
Yeah, no, we didn't have Mercy on the south side does not have candy stripers.
Candy
I used to want to be a candy striper.
Candy stripers, dog.
Mercy does not have candy stripers, but just giving that confidence, like, you know what, like, all right, it's time for you guys to go home, and all of a sudden I felt fine. And then with Bella, like, I was cool. I know how to put the car seat in. I knew what we had to do. My biggest thing is how much formula and diapers can I sell at this hospital without them catching me? And then instead of me having to do that, they actually just packed up a bunch so I didn't have to steal and ravage closets. But you just get more confidence from one child to the next. So I can only imagine, going from your first to your fourth, just the confidence and knowing what to do, at least at that adolescent stage. So when they hit that, age from, like, I call it 5 to maybe 10 to 12, how is that different from when they were young? Because now their personalities are forming.
Sure.
Are you going to be more on the creative side, athletic side, introvert, extrovert? That stuff It's starting to manifest itself. Is
And,
that
and it's and it's
what are the things? Just for our listeners, what are the things? I'm sorry to cut you. What are the things that you start to see? You know, as a child, is making sure that you're there. They know you're there, and they're fed more or less, and that they're learning things so they can be ready for first grade. But once your child gets to from 5 to 7, what are the most 5 to 12, I should say? What are the things that as parents we should be looking for and really making sure we're on top of?
I think the number one thing, and I've made this mistake, is you can't force what you like on your kids.
And you think that age is the most important time to not try to do that with them?
Yeah,
just in general. Probably.
I'm just saying in general. Just case in point, okay? If you and Chance are in the park, throwing a ball, and Chance gives you, that throw, you're gonna be like, Chance probably not gonna be a baseball player, right? But if he grabs that ball and naturally tosses it a certain way, then you go, oh, this might be something that he likes. I think, and this is more fathers, I think, than mothers, right? Because a lot of dads put their and I don't know if this is a word, so I'm going to say this shit, mishappenings.
Yeah, like living vicariously.
Their mishappenings of their life, like they thought they were going to be the high school hoop star. They were the high school baseball star. They didn't make it, so they put all that shit into their son. But their son wants to be a producer, or he wants to play the fucking piano, or he might even want to be a goddamn ice skater, right? Well, let him ice skate, right? I do believe, though, in laying everything out there because I think sports is a good vehicle that teaches kids things that you necessarily can't teach them. You're not around. It teaches them unity. It teaches them camaraderie. It teaches them how to deal with certain attitudes and different demographics and different races and things like that you necessarily can't teach them because we all know the world is not nice, right? But if you put them at an early age in a situation that's sports driven, it will show them the team that's the jerk, the coach that's the asshole, the referee that, you know what I'm saying? But if they don't like sports, and this is where I get angry, and a lot of dads do this. If your son doesn't, or daughter, but it's more sons, but your son or daughter doesn't like sports, dads tend to write their son off.
Or make them feel bad,
No, they write them off. They don't fuck with them. Like, I've seen it. Like there's guys out here because their kid didn't follow in their footsteps because they were the sixth man on the Simeon team and they want their son to play. He'll be like, dude, I don't like basketball. So what you got to do is say, instead of saying, what do you mean? You got to say, oh, you don't like basketball? Or what do you like? And I'm telling you, I'm speaking from experience because I played in all 4 sports in high school. Baseball, basketball, football, and I ran track, right? So I'm a sports guy. My dad was a high school All-American. He went to play at Kansas. Like, I come from a sports. My uncles broke records in track. Like, I come, and I tried to put that into Diego.
Your youngest son.
Diego's 24. So I tried to make Diego a basketball guy, which he liked, and he was good. But it's not what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I kept forcing it on him. And then he came to me one day, he was like, Dad, I like music. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I like music. I was like, I had to take a step back, right? Let my ego go away because I never did anything in sports. I just was a dude on the team. Like, I wasn't all state. I was just, you know what I mean? When I embraced him, not saying I didn't embrace him before, but when I really embraced what his love was.
Like, heard him. Yeah.
I listened to him.
Yeah.
And I could tell you like it was yesterday. I'm gonna tell you what happened. He came to me and he was like, man, I need an Apple. I need a Mac. Me and his mom got together. We bought him a Mac. I need this Fruity Loops, right? This is 10 years ago. I need Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know what the hell that was. And he was like, I need a keyboard. I was like, you don't know how to play a keyboard? He's like, yeah, I'm going to teach myself. And so I took it. So I was like, oh, that's just like me teaching myself how to shoot jump shots. Or someone teaching themselves, right?
Gotcha.
So then when I embraced that and let him go down this path, I remember this. I was a buyer at Finish Line at the time. I was sitting in the living room, drinking a beer as usual, and I hear this beat, like I hear this track out the room. It sounded like some Premiere shit or some Jay Dilla shit. Like, I was like, man, who's that? I got ready to say who's, let me go back. I got ready to do that, but I opened the door. He's in there like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, oh, this is my son. Like that's what I'm saying, going back to knowing your kid's personality. Like Diego is not the guy, like, he could play basketball right now. He's probably better than a lot of kids, people you know at 24. Mm-hmm. He can't stand nobody yelling at him, though.
Gotcha. So he ain't going to want to deal with no coach. He ain't going to want to have to sit on no team and want to play that. If I stop yelling at you, that means I don't care. So if I'm yelling at you,
he can't stand somebody yelling at him. And this goes back to, and you'll see this, you got multiple, you got two. But you can see this, like, some kids you can yell at. Some kids, you got to be like, listen, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You know, what's going on? Talk to me. Other kids, you have to be able to know the personality of your kids, and this is what I've mastered. This is why I have the relationship. You see my kids. This is why I have the relationship that I have with my kids. Mm-hmm. They're all spoiled. No, they're all spoiled. That's what they all got in common.
True that. True.
They're deeply loved.
Yeah, no, they're spoiled. They're not. I mean, they're deeply loved, but they're spoiled. Yeah. Even a 33-year-old will call me and be like, "Hey, Dad, I seen them Air Max on the website. What's up?" You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to know and decipher that, because what you don't want to do is break a kid down.
Mm-hmm. Well, at what age do you think you can break a kid down?
It depends. Now, I used to say a different age. Nowadays, it's different because these kids now have technology and they have so much shit coming at them. Like, it's different than for me with older kids, right? It's like going back to like the different conversations. Like the conversations I have, okay, this is a good one. The conversations that I was having with Cheyenne in high school, I didn't have with Brittany until she was 22. Mm. And I was having with Cheyenne at 14.
Like what, such as?
Boys, sex, teachers, you know, your booty getting big, watch out for this, the cars going down the street honking. Like, those conversations, I didn't have those conversations with Brittany, she was 22. Mm. I had the same conversation with Cheyenne at 14.
Damn.
The conversation I had with Dante at 18, 19, 20 about condoms, I had with Diego at 15. Times are changing, right? Yeah. So I have friends of mine now that are having sex conversations with their kids at 10.
Yeah.
You have to be because of R. Kelly, basically, now.
But I'm saying shit has changed. Like, things are, like, times are differently.
Yeah.
Those are the things, like, it's a moving target. Like, there's not a manual, and I get so frustrated when I see, like, these kids, the book to becoming the perfect parent. There's no such fucking thing. And these people make millions of dollars off this shit, feeding people a bag of bullshit when it's not necessarily true. It's a true and living thing. Like, every day is a different day. One day, Chance might come home and love everybody. Mm-hmm. The next day, he'd be like, fuck Johnny.
Fuck you, or fuck your dad.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is real life.
Yeah. I would say, like, it's interesting when you say that you have to know your kids, but just to give you, like, a little background about me, my dad, like, I don't want to say he forced me to play tennis, but at 4 years old, I was, like, playing tennis. I didn't, like, have a choice. And I would say, like...
Forced you?
Yeah, basically. But I love my daddy, though. So. But I would just...
No, that's not what this conversation is about. The conversation is not about me or you not loving your daddy or Diego not loving me. It's us as parents, okay, taking a step back and looking at our children and going, as much as I want him to be an actor, he might just be a railroad worker.
But yeah, I think
you know what I mean? Some people have a hard time with that.
But some people, they know their child. You can know your child, but just like, I don't want to say not care, or it's some people I feel as parents that they don't accept their child. Like, you can know what your child is and what they're like, but you don't like accept them for who they are. Like, your children, I feel that you should add to what you're saying, because you knew their personality, but you also, like, they knew you would accept them. They knew, like, you were a safe place for them to fall. They knew they could come to you and be like, you know, I don't want to play basketball, I want to do music, and you wouldn't just beat them down.
Let me tell you the two, okay? This is a good one. Let me tell you the two hardest things for a parent to understand, hear, and realize. One, I'm gay. The second one is for the guidance counselor to come and tell you your child has a learning disorder. Because both of those situations, you can react one or two ways. You can be super positive, super supportive, and super loving of that child, or you can write them off. And unfortunately, in 2019, most kids get rolled off.
And you still got people who will support the parents writing them off.
Absolutely.
So that's, yeah.
It's no matter how much people get supportive of gay rights and whatever, people might hate me for saying this, right? There's a lot of men that still are not accepting
homophobic
of the dad, of the boy. They're more accepting of the daughter.
Yeah, that's
They're more accepting
overall.
of the daughter, but the son. And then there's degrees, right? Like, and this is so funny when they say this: is he gay or is he gay? Is he Earvin Johnson gay?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is
he
EJ?
Is he EJ gay or is he just I like dudes gay? Like, I think some guys are like, okay, my son's gay. I don't fuck with it, but it's cool. Don't come to my house wearing a dress. Don't kiss no nigga on my porch. Then you got the learning disorder thing where and it's guys more than women, which I hate, instead of diving in and figuring out what the child's learning disorder is like, it's your fault, he a dumb nigga. That's what they say to the mom. Because it's always the mom's fault. It ain't never his fault. Like, dude, it's like the DNA's 50-50, like, and, there's things that help the child. Like, you can get the child help, and a learning disorder doesn't mean like society has written. To me, those, and there's a lot of things that come, but those are the two that, like, I see more than often that break families up, that ruin kids for, like, because there's kids walking around, I shouldn't say kids, but there's people walking around in their 30s that have never recovered.
Right. Okay, so I just want to ask one question, because you were talking about the two toughest things to deal with is find out your child is gay or find out your child has a learning disability. I guess it's a two-part question. It's like, for parents, I feel that sometimes parents are like very narcissistic as well. It's like the parent who's like going in on their child and can't accept them, but it's also like the element of narcissism where you can't see your child, all you see is yourself within your child. Mm-hmm. And I'm intrigued to understand, like, how do you separate? Because, I mean, as a mother, you're carrying that baby within you. Like, how do you separate yourself from your child and not just only see yourself in your child and not the child? Like narcissism.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think you just have to be real with yourself. I've never, as a dad, have had to dealt with any of those things.
Yeah.
But I do have friends that have, and some have like become depressed. Some, and not depressed because their kid has come out or the kid has a learning disorder, because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in our culture, people don't want to seek help. Like, they don't want to pick up the phone and call somebody and go, you know what? This is stuff I don't understand. Can you please help me understand what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through as a parent? But then also, too, the bigger thing is help my child go through this. Like, times have changed now, right? So I think people are more accepting of kids' lifestyles and lifestyle choices.
It's like that
25
element of like, oh, I'm a failure as a parent because my child does this. It's like, I just would be intrigued, how do you not like take that route where because something occurs, you don't internalize it like that you're the failure.
And I think, just to, for me, I think the job as a parent is to make sure your child has a toolbox and they know how to use every tool in that toolbox. Whether they will use them all, you don't know, but want them to do it. Like you gave the example of having your kids play team sports, not necessarily because you think they'll be a basketball star, but sports forces you to work in a team environment. You're going to have a coach that's going to yell at you in a not so nice way because they're not there to nurture and coddle you. They're there to win games and get the most out of you. I think that's interesting because as a parent, I don't know what either Chance or Bella are going to become. I just know I feel my job is to give them the guidance based off of my years of experience, and I feel like just the tools on how to problem solve and how to make decisions, how to, judge people. Like people can always fool you, but at least give them the tools to know this person is full of shit. This person is legit. This is somebody I need to listen to. This person, like, all right, I need to keep close to me. This person I need to keep away from me. I feel like as a parent, you don't know what they're going to become, but what you can do is equip them.
But your equip is going to be different than my equip.
How so?
I didn't go to college. So you and I just instinctively think differently.
That's fair.
You and I have had conversations about certain things, and I'm like, nah, I really don't agree with that. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm not saying that your point is wrong. It's just a different thought process. Like for me, I've been able to talk to my kids or teach them or show them life experiences through my lenses, and I tell them, Dad didn't go to college. I went to the Marine Corps. College wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. I knew it wasn't going to be for me.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to go to school, and I got offers for not big schools, baseball scholarships, small, whatever. I knew I was going to school to party and drink.
Yeah.
But at least I had the wherewithal to go, you know what? I probably should go to service and get some discipline, and you know what I'm saying?
And to me, though, that's the thing, though. Decision making. Yep. I want to teach my children how to make decisions, how to think 4 steps ahead. Like, you know what? My dad really wants me to go to college. I got accepted here, but I'm not ready to sit down and, study 20 plus hours a week outside of the classroom. I'm not ready to. Some people aren't ready to move away from home. Some people need to move away from home. I just want to equip them. I feel my job is to equip him with the best decision-making prowess that he can possibly have.
And I'm 2 out of 4. I got 2 college, 2 without. Dante went to the service. You know what I mean? He's a chef. Brittany went to school. She didn't finish, but she has a clothing line. Diego wanted no part of college. He's like, Dad, I'm making beats. Like, Cheyenne's a junior now in college. So I'm 2, you know what I'm saying? 2 out of 4, right? You just never know.
But it's like imperative to give your child, just to me, from listening to you, it sounds as if you gave your children like a sense of self. Because if the like missing piece in a narcissistic parent is the child doesn't know who they are because they're just like trying to please that parent. Whereas your children, like, they knew, I don't want to do this or I'm going to do this. It's like that element of self, like to know. And even you knew that, like you knew college is not for me. Like you had a sense of self, which is like a good thing to have.
Which in 1984, okay, was not a popular statement. Like in 1980, when I graduated high school, everybody was going to college. Like it was like there was like black kids go to college, and I'm like, no, man, I ain't going to college. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a popular thing to the point where my dad. So I graduated. So I was young. So I went into my senior year. I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 17 in November. Right? So I was young. I was a young senior.
Gotcha.
And so I had to have my parents sign the papers, and my dad would not. He was like, no way. No way, because, you know, there's shit going on. It's Beirut. It's Falkland Island. Like, he's like, no way. I'm not. But my mom, okay, this goes back to the son, mom thing. My mom was like, I get it. I don't want you to go to the service, but I get it. You know, and I was like, well, my mom said she's going to sign the papers. That's the only way my dad signed the papers. I don't know if he's scared of my mom at the time, but
he knew he ain't going to win that fight. So.
And I think, too, the important thing to talk about, like, college, college is not for everybody. Not just, and not every field requires it. I think college isn't the goal. My goal isn't to get my kids to college. My goal is to make sure my kids are productive and they can be good parents if they choose to become parents. Like, college is a means to an end. College isn't the end. I think a lot of people look at college as the end. People need to separate the two. I know plenty of people who have graduated with degrees, with honors, who aren't doing anything that they went to school for. And so now they have $100,000 in debt and they're not doing that. And I think that's the one thing as a parent, like, if Chan says, like, Dad, I'm not going to school because I'm going to do X, and if it makes sense to me, if he's thought through the process and thought through it, I'm going to be cool with that because I know I've done everything in my power.
But let me back you up, though. It doesn't have to make sense to you, though.
If it requires anything of me, it does.
Yeah, but I'm saying
it doesn't have to make sense.
But even that though, it shouldn't make sense to you.
Yeah,
because it's his life, not yours.
Correct. But if I have to pay for it though, then.
But even that though,
really,
we got to be careful as parents. Like, our kid's path is not our path.
I get it.
I didn't see the producer thing for Diego.
Okay.
But I funded it, and now, like, this is 10 years ago. Now I'm starting to see not me reaping financial benefit because I don't want anything from it. But I'm seeing him reap financial benefit. So it could be something that chance comes with you. And he might need you to finance it. But it might not be what you might not even remotely get. Mm-hmm. And you just got to believe in him. And be like, you know what? It's my son. Yep. I want to see him persevere. I want to see him do this thing because he believes. Because there's one thing about this generation is when you empower them, most of them perform. It's when you don't empower them that they rebel.
You said you funded Diego being a producer, or you funded that, right? How long?
Yes.
In the beginning,
yes.
Did you know he had the work ethic and the drive to pursue it, even if he wasn't successful at all?
No,
you didn't. So you just stepped out on faith, or you just wanted to empower, like you said? Because I think I struggle right now with the idea of, like, my son doesn't show. I'm not saying Diego didn't, but if my son doesn't show work ethic, or at least the ability to, like, try hard, it's going to be hard for me right now, as I sit here, as he's 3, to get fully behind something, especially if he's later on. Because how do you know?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you something that I had to wrestle with is my kids do not have my work ethic. Brittany, maybe. The other ones do not. But I realize I can't hold them to my bar. So I just had to believe, especially in Diego's case, because Diego is so different in terms of all my children, in terms of my personality. The other three have my personality way more than him. Diego's really reserved. You've been around him.
Oh, yeah.
Really quiet, really reserved, really methodical, where the other ones are like me. You know they're in the room.
Yeah.
You know they're there. They're loud. They're boisterous, whatever, and that's like me. He looks like me. He walks like me. He talks like me. But his personality is like his mother. I had to realize that, and realize that from a work ethic standpoint, I couldn't hold him to the same standard as I hold the other ones, because when I'm asleep, he's working.
I hear you.
And I wasn't used to that. Like, Diego will, my wife always trips, like, you talk to Diego? Like, Diego will leave the house on a Monday, and you might not see him till Thursday, but he's sleeping in the studio. And he'll send me, like, this is what I'm working on. Like, he'll take that laptop, that keyboard, that guitar, whatever, and he's gone. And then he'll do something. I won't even know he's done it. Somebody else will call me and be like, oh, Diego's got the Adidas commercial errands. And I'm like, what Adidas commercial? Like, what are y'all talking about? My other kids, I'll know, especially with something on a big scale, I'll know something that they've done before it's hit. Dad, check this out. My daughter with her clothing line, my son with the restaurant, Cheyenne's part of, her campus, student government body and the campus committee and things that she's doing, whether it's getting more kids enrolled or whatever the case, like, I know all that before it hits social media. And Diego's the only one that lives with me.
I think it's like interesting in the scheme of like Diego. It's probably like, as a parent, you got to believe in him with boundaries, and it seems like you like believed that you didn't know what he was gonna do, but you set boundaries and you didn't let it cross over into like being an enabler. Whereas, because that's what I feel like, that's when the work ethic component kind of comes in. Because if you know somebody doesn't have a good work ethic, but you're like enabling them, that's when it, as a parent, it can be kind of risky. Whereas if you're like, I'm gonna give you this, here's these like boundaries, and then figure it out from there, that makes the difference.
But I guess what I'm missing then, what boundaries did you set on your kid?
I didn't.
Okay.
Had I set boundaries, then I don't think that my son would be where he's at now. He hasn't made it. He's still finding himself, and he's got some wins, right? He's got songs with Kami, and he's done stuff with Chance, and he's done stuff with Vic, and he did an Adidas commercial and things like that, but I don't think he's truly found his artistic place in the market. And as much as, and I'm not telling you as a parent, I don't get frustrated, because I say to my wife all the time, I was like, he's 24. But I see, I don't want to say potential, because I think that's the wrong word. Like, I see it.
There's a commitment from me, even from what I see.
Not even commitment, like
to the craft and getting better.
It's going back to me saying, know your kids. Like, I see it.
Okay.
But wouldn't the rope be the boundary? If you're like thinking about,
that's why I don't do it. I don't do the rope thing, because what's the alternative? Me putting my kid out? Because he can't go to his mom's house. I mean, he could, but it's like, he's been with me since he was 12 years old. He's 24.
Yeah, but
He ain't going nowhere.
You're not gonna let him stay there till he's like 40. Like,
no, I'm not gonna let him stay till he's 40. But I think that me allowing him to live with us, helps his creative process, because if you know anyone, and obviously I know your kids are younger, but if you know anyone that's in the creative space, the one thing that helps them with the creative space is comfortability.
Safety.
You know what I'm saying? So he knows he has a place to stay.
Yeah.
There's going to be food on the table. He can work and come and go as he wants, which allows him to do that 8-10 hours in the studio.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I'm not saying I do it every night. That night where he didn't grab something to eat, dad or mom cook something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Or, yo, man, where you at? I'm in the studio. What time you coming home? 5? All right, I'll put something in the microwave. All right, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm looking towards the big picture, and I'm not financing it anymore. So he's financing it all on his own, and you have to believe in your kids. I feel that he's gonna make it. When I feel like he's not gonna make it, I'll say something to him. He's not the 35-year-old dude working out in the park thinking he's still going to the NBA. He's not that.
And I think that's, without, I feel like we're talking about Diego a lot, and he's, accomplished for his age and for what he's doing. I think it's not even about him specifically. I think what Joy and I, from a generalization standpoint, I feel like different kids need different boundaries. Some kids might need to be, I feel some kids might need to be put out, because that you cut that tether, I think that's going to allow them to spread their wings and do what they need to do. Some kids might need you to be there because, you know what?
Brittany is 29, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I fuss at her like she's 7.
Okay.
But she can take it, though. Mm-hmm. I can't fuss at Diego or Cheyenne the same way I fuss at Brittany. Not that they do anything bad, but when they do something that I feel is out of character, like, we have a conversation, but it's not like I'll call Brittany and curse her out. I'll be like, listen, if you don't take that shit down off Instagram right now, Dad, I'm sorry. Bullshit. Take it down.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Where you at? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
She's older, but also, too, again, going back to what I'm saying, the personality thing. Like, you have to know. Like, I know that and I haven't done it in a long time, if I call and yell at Cheyenne, she starts crying.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately. So I can't yell at her. When she does something I don't like, I have to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If I yell at Diego, I won't see him for 2 weeks. Dante is 33. We have different conversations. We have more like, my conversation with him was like, bro, you're 33. You're going to look up and you're going to be 40. What are you doing? I had a comment, and on his birthday, okay, I called him, he's 33 on January 2nd. We talked a couple days prior, and I was like, you remember the conversation I had with you? And you were boo-hooing on the conversation? He was like, I know exactly what conversation. I had a conversation with him when he was 20.
Mm-hmm.
I said, bro, listen, you got to figure out what the fuck you're going to do. Because you're going to look up, you're going to blink, and you're going to be 30. You're 33 now. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah. He's like, I didn't believe this shit when you told me.
Yeah.
He's like, it flies. Even me. Because that conversation I had with him is the conversation my dad had with me. Yeah. Now, it was a different conversation because my dad didn't necessarily get what was happening in the world, my dad said to me at 23, and I always give him shit about it. He's like, shoes? That's what you gonna do with your life? All the talent you got? Fucking shoes? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Damn.
But the times were different, though.
Yeah.
I don't fault him for that. It was from where he was coming from. I'm the oldest. He was coming from, listen, your brothers and sisters are looking up to you. You gonna be a shoe salesman? Because back in fucking 89,
That's what Al Bundy
88,
was doing.
well, this before Al Bundy.
Yeah.
88, 89, that wasn't cool. That wasn't a cool, that wasn't what we see today. That wasn't a cool profession.
Yeah.
That was you did that while you went to DePaul or while you went to college. That wasn't a profession. Mm-hmm. You just have to, I think sometimes you have to look at your children, love your children for who they are, which I think we all do. But you also have to assess your children. But not assess them based on the criteria of you. You going to Marquette and having your degree, and you having your degree and you being an educator, like, you gotta I'm a little biased because my kids don't know me for doing anything else. They don't know nothing, me doing nothing else. Only the older ones have seen me bartend and do other stuff to make. But the two younger ones, they don't know nothing else but this sneaker shit. You think they ain't gonna love sneakers? It's like Brittany with her clothing line. She got 75,000 Instagram followers. Shit is crazy to me with her clothing line.
What's the name of your clothing line?
Sweats by Stu. I wanted her to do something else. She was in college. She called me her sophomore year. I got her an internship at Ralph Lauren, the whole thing. She was going to school to be an anesthesiologist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm paying lab fees and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She like, Dad, it's over. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I gotta do this clothing shit. She's like, I love it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
what'd you say?
I took a step back. Because look, my kids don't have no grants, none of that. Like, I pay everything out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm paying for school. So I'm paying, you guys went to college, I'm paying for school, and I'm paying for lab fees. So, part of me was like, whew, no more lab fees. But my other part was, you 3 years into this, we could have had a different conversation.
Yeah.
But I supported it. I want you to graduate, but you saying you done, then let's go for it. But let's really go for it. But the first year, I didn't support her at all.
Was that a deliberate decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
I let her do the grind. Because I wanted to see. I wanted to see, was this another thing like selling white T-shirts out the trunk? Not that my daughter sold white T-shirts, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I wanted to see, like.
But I guess the main thing that I'm concerned about isn't like their childhood years as a teacher. I dealt with this age. I think I'm more concerned with like letting go. Because I would say for my mother, I feel like that was her hardest challenge. Like she still had a hard time letting go of me, and I was like 30. Like, she still will interact sometimes with us like we're 14, like we're still kids in her eye. And she kind of like wraps her whole life around us. So her identity is a little like skewed because she just didn't have her own like self. It was like her kids were her self. So I think my main question is like how, once they reach that adult age, because you're talking about them now as adults, how did you let go of that? How did you just let them be adults? Were you more their friend, or like how was that transition?
I mean, it's hard because, Dante went to the service and he was in the Navy in San Diego, and he just never came home. He's like, the weather is too nice. Brittany, lived with her mom back and forth when she got out of school. She lived with me for a little bit. I live in Indianapolis, but she was always wanting to be on her own, right? Diego is 24, still lives with me, probably ain't going nowhere no time soon. Mm-hmm. Cheyenne's 20. She probably would live with me, but she likes living with her mom. Her and her brother have a, love-hate, type of thing. And I think there's too many rules in my house. The letting go thing, it's hard because I would have never thought, had we had this conversation 10 years ago, I never would have thought that my son at 24 would still be living with me. Because I'm different. I moved to a house when I was 16 and never came back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't wait to get out of the house. You been over our house? We got a pretty comfortable house.
Yeah.
There's food. There's beer.
A lot of bathrooms. You ain't got to share bathrooms.
You ain't got to share your bath. You got your own room.
Difference.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's again, me evolving as a parent. And even my wife too, like Rosa too, like evolving, like, okay, like Diego's girlfriend, like, is over the house a lot. Like, she damn near lives with us. I was so against that. I'm like, nah, that ain't happening in my house. Ain't nobody having sex in my house.
That man Diego.
But me. You know what I'm saying? But, as you get older, you soften your stance, and then you do things. I don't necessarily call it enabling, but you do things to keep your kids happy, if that makes sense. Whether people like what I'm saying or not, but I see it a lot. Like, I have a lot of my friends who kids are in their 20s are still at the crib, and they're not making the money that we were making.
Yeah.
So, like, do we put them out so they're out here having a hard time? They're going to be calling us anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Might as well just have them stay in the house until they're really ready. But I am going to put, look, we're not doing this at 35.
But I would say, like, your kid could live with you and you couldn't have let them go. Like, let them be an adult. Whereas, like, I didn't live with my mom, but she still, like, hadn't let me go, like, as her child.
Oh, no.
You see, like, that's what I'm trying to, like, how do you, like, okay, they're not a child anymore. Yes, I raised them and all this, but it's time to let them go.
No, I think that's within the parent, though. Like, you can't. I mean, that's within the person. That's a tough one for me to speak on. But for me, like, I think because I left home at an early age and my parents didn't really trip on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, all my kids aren't gone. Like, I, like, don't trip. But I still have the same conversations. Like, Diego goes out to the club. Like, dude, be careful. I know you're coming in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Know your surroundings. Cheyenne, listen, you go to a party, you on campus, because I don't say don't drink, because they my kids, right? Watch your drink. People putting shit in drinks. Brittany is obviously the oldest of them, at 29, even that. Like, I call her. If I called her right now on speakerphone, she'll tell you. I'd be like, hey, who was that dude you was on picture with? Dad, that's just my friend. Don't post that. Don't post that because you don't want to send the wrong message. You don't know who that guy is. Like, I have those type of, and I'm using that as an example.
Yeah.
I have those type of conversations.
Yeah, but it seems like you're more giving advice, whereas I just think that there's some people who are adult children who like their parents are still trying to control them.
No,
and that's
there's
like,
a lot of parents.
Yeah, that's like, how do you not do that? That's like my question.
I have friends. I have friends that if they don't go, male friends that if they don't go to their mother's house every Sunday, their moms won't talk to them. It's like one of the craziest things I've ever heard. You 55. Like, come on, ma.
That's a weird thing. You know, that book, The Giving Tree. You know, it used to be one of my favorite books as a kid, 'cause I thought it was an awesome story that the tree always had something for the little boy. And then you grow up, you got Wikipedia now. I don't know if you've ever read that story, but it's by Shel Silverstein, and it's a deep book. It's basically about this tree and this little boy, and the little boy loves this tree. They play together all the day. He climbs the tree, eats the apple. But then the little boy starts to grow up, and he's not around the tree anymore. But he comes back like every 20 years, say, hey, I'm older now. I need money. And the tree is like, oh, I can't give you money, but I can give you all my apples and all my branches so you can sell them in the city and make money. So the boy takes all the apples, leaves. Boy comes back years later. I need a wife. I need a house. Like, well, I can't give you a wife or a house, but I can give you my trunk, and you can take it and make lumber and make a house for your wife. So he does that. Then he comes back later on like, I'm old. I just want to sail away. Well, you could take what little of me I have left and make a boat. So he takes it and goes away. Then he comes back. He's an old man. The tree is nothing but a stump. And the tree's like, I got nothing left to give you, little boy, but a place to sit. Well, he's like, well, I'm old now. That's all I need. And it's a fucked up book because you break it down. It's all about the mother-son relationship and how the boy... You know, on one side it's boy taking, and the tree is just giving, or is it this weird intertwining of mother and son, or if it was father and daughter that goes on there? And I think there's something to be said about that dynamic that's eternal. Like, I remember we were doing an event with Emery, and I said, we had just had Chance. I think he was 6 months, and he was like, I was like, yeah, I got 18 more years, and then he's out. He was like, oh, you're a parent forever. That's the job.
Absolutely.
You never quit. And I thought that was deep
Absolutely.
that he told me that. And I think that just stuck with me. I don't know, for whatever reason, just when, you know, we in New York, he just said it. We were in Times Square. He's like, you a parent forever. And I'm like,
yep.
Oh.
That's a fact.
You're right. Just because they leave, because I still call my dad when I need advice. What do I do with Chance? He's not doing X, Y, Z. Or I take him over there and Chance behaves a certain way. My dad was like, why are you letting him sit down? He didn't clean up. He should be cleaning all this up. And my dad will look at Chance and say, you need to clean all this up. And Chance will go clean everything up when my dad tells him to. Not when I do, but when my dad does.
Yeah,
and it's the most...
Because it's about the parameters, that you set. It's like the thing I said earlier. It's the dad voice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I say certain things, and again, I don't have little kids.
Yeah.
Even I say certain things to my kids, they be like, oh my God, yeah, dad is like that. They're like, oh yeah, that's serious. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's all my dad would do, and it would be that voice, and just we had this weird intersection where I didn't really want to fuck with him no more. Then I became a dad. And he got cancer right around the same time. So I'm like, oh, like this must be meant to be. And then just as an advice giver now and as a person to kind of guide you and be like, babies shouldn't be doing this. They should be doing this. Like, he'll never condemn my parenting, like, because, I'm a great father. But he'll, like, say, babies should be doing this.
Did you just call yourself a great father?
I did. I'm a damn great father, and I'll always say that. I'll say that to the day I die because I work hard at it. Am I the best? Am I the best? Am I perfect? No. Am I great? I'll always say I'm a great because I love these kids and I do what I can for them. But
I'm not saying anything at all.
But just seeing the way that, as a parent, like, I need my parent now probably more than ever.
Yeah.
And then materially I don't, but like support-wise, advice-wise, sage-wise, it's just dope to have him in the mix.
And I don't know how much time in your life, but I would say this. The hardest job that you would do in your life is guard the lives of your children. And it never stops. Never. So if you think that there's a timetable on it, you know, your kids get 18, 20, then college, it's all, nah. It don't stop. It changes, but the biggest thing is solidifying the relationships with your children all along the way, so that when they do get older and there's certain situations that come up, they feel comfortable to come to you first. It's the one thing that I love about my relations with my children. There's nothing that they can't come to me and have conversations. And they know it's things I won't like. But they're like, I'd rather talk to him than somebody else. And that's not me saying I know everything that my, you know, kids are kids. And especially now, because mine are grown. There's situations and sexual shit and all that stuff I don't necessarily know all about, but my kids feel comfortable enough to call me and be like, Dad, this is what I got going on. And that's what you want.
I think that's a perfect way to kind of put a bow on this show.
Thank you for that conclusion.
That's a perfect way to put a bow on this show.
No, I thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate the conversation. You know, and it was not the normal, you know, it wasn't about sneakers, it wasn't about beer, it wasn't about this, but it's important. Like, you know, I love being a dad. That don't mean I'm not stressed out. That don't mean, you know, whatever, but, you know, I love it. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I really should have shook Joy hand first, but.
You should have, but say the best for last, right?
Good job, great husband.
Say the best for last. So, Diego, we end every show, and you can go last on this one so you can have a final word, but we end every show with a segment called Something We Wish We Would Have Known. And basically, we like to give our viewers just something that we wish we would have known. I mean, we're all older. We've all lived life. We've all had our bumps and bruises. So we just like to end every show with something that we wish we would have known. I'll kick it off today, if you all don't mind. Something I wish I would have known is the importance of reading. Not the ability to read, like, right? It's not an aptitude thing, but just the importance of actually reading books, or with the internet, the importance of reading articles. There's so much just information out in the world and so many things at our fingertips. The social connection that we make with our children when we read to them. You know, with Bella, she's 4 months now, and she doesn't know what I'm saying, or she does know what I'm saying, I don't know. But just reading, we read Green Eggs and Ham yesterday, and she was captivated by all 74 pages of that book. Just the importance of reading to your kids, the importance of, like, really reading articles and checking sources, the importance of reading, which is something that, you know, I always, you know, obviously knew how to read, but just the importance of just being connected to the information that's around me and the world around me. So, ladies and gentlemen, just read stuff. Just read, you know, if you're not reading a book, you know, read at least a news article a day, not connected to anything in your profession or what you like. Just read, because we don't do that enough. We like to look at pictures, we like to read captions, but read something of substance every day. You'll be a better person for it.
That's deep. I agree with the reading. Reading is fundamental.
It was on fun.
Okay, sorry. Diego, you didn't laugh. Okay, anyways, I would say the thing that I wish I would have known is that it's okay to say no to your parents, and the truth of the matter is like, they're gonna love you no matter what. Like, even if they disown you and all this, like, they're always going to love you. So it's okay to, like, say no. Will they be mad at you or who knows how long, but they're always going to, like, love you. If every time you say no to your parent and they're catching an attitude or they're getting upset, like, you're not the problem, it's them. Because if they can't hear a no from their child, like something else is going on. And you might feel like a horrible daughter or son, but it's like, wait a minute, like they don't want to listen to me. They can't hear my no or they can't hear my yes, but that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. So it's okay to say no, and that's it. And they'll always love you. They'll love you. And if they don't, you're not the problem. That's my opinion.
That's a good one.
That's a damn good one.
Oh.
Damn, I should have came a little bit stronger. Read a book.
Read a damn book. Read an article.
I wish I would have known at an earlier age financial stability. Like, I didn't have anyone that ever taught me about finances. My parents were living check to check. Like, I didn't, and I've had jobs where my parents have said to me, "You're making double what I'm making at this age." But I didn't save shit. Yeah, I've had jobs, I've had 401k, and I've had benefits, and I've had all that, but I was partying. I was traveling. Yeah, but if I went, maybe if I could still go on this trip, but if instead of spending $3,300, there's ways to spend $1,700 and still have the same trip. Or it's like, in case in point, at 52, I'm working more now at 52 than I did at 25.
Damn.
And I think part of it is, well, one, I'm not a sit-at-home person, so that's one. Two, I still love what I do. But three, like, I didn't put away as much as I could have.
Yeah.
Not should have. Could have. Because of, just lifestyle. Like, it was all like living. I have great memories. Don't get me wrong. So that would be my thing. Like, I just times are getting harder. My advice to anyone that's out there is like, it's cool to have the cool sneaker and to have the cool this, but saving money for a rainy day is really, really, really important. Like, there's not a lot of people that, if their parents have a situation and your parents call you and say, "My house burned down, the insurance is not going to cover us, at least for the next week. We need $5,000 to stay somewhere for a month." How many people can do that?
Not many.
Yeah.
Well, Diego, again, appreciate you coming through. I think that's a
appreciate you.
Very strong note to end this show on.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me.
Definitely.
It only took 2 years, but it's all good.
No, we haven't even been doing this for a full year.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast, episode 10.
10.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace out.